Hello everyone, Santir here, and welcome to another video in my Sharing My Internal Monologue and talking about something that's been on my mind series. And today I want to talk about James Bond. Specifically, I want to talk about this whole women want him aspect of it, and what the fantasy behind that is, at least a way of interpreting that fantasy. This has been something that's been on my mind a little bit because I have started rewatching the James Bond films thanks to the fabulous and quite enjoyable From Rewatch with Love, that's a little bit of a mouthful to say, podcast that Loading Ready Run is doing. I'll see about trying to include a link to those down below. But that series has gotten me to rewatch the James Bond films, along with my sister, who's joined me, and we've had some interesting discussions about them. And one of the things that we discussed, that I think was a rather interesting topic, was some of that fantasy of women just throwing themselves at James Bond, and what's going on with that, and what's a way to kind of understand what that is tapping into. Again, there can be a lot of different things, but this is kind of my take on it. And what my thought is basically, we kind of need to frame things a little bit. So, at least in society as it exists at the time of this recording, social pressure, and particularly when the James Bond films, some of the earlier ones were made, like Roger Moore and whatnot era, and before that, Sean Connery, obviously. But even kind of up into Timothy Dalton and all that sort of stuff. Social pressure for initiating mating rituals among human beings was on the male. Men were the ones who had to go out and pursue a wife, typically speaking, and a woman making the first moves was atypical. This puts a lot of social pressure on men, and puts a lot of risk of rejection and all that sort of stuff. And so I was thinking about this and trying to discuss it, and the basic kind of point that I got in is the fantasy is that social pressure not being there. These women are, first of all, not rejecting James Bond, but second of all, not even requiring him to make the first move. And that's a certain sort of fantasy of making things a lot simpler, a lot more relaxed from the man's standpoint. That James Bond fantasy of, yes, the women that I'm interested in want me without me having to risk rejection or make any moves. There's a lot of appeal to that. There's a lot of escapism in that from a social standpoint of, okay, there's all these social pressures, and this is how society says these things have to go, and there's a lot of pressure there. It can be quite scary to feel that, okay, how do I even go about doing this thing? How do I work through all of the complex social interactions related to, like, how can I tell if somebody likes me? How does flirting work? And all of that, and to have it be simplified of you don't need to worry about that from Bond's perspective. And so I think there's an appeal to the fantasy there. And it's the sort of thing of, is it how the world works? No, but maybe the world needs to work in a little bit more of a fair way that says it's okay for either to be the opener and put pressure on both of the sexes that way. And I think that's the direction things are trending, and I think that's a good thing. But I can definitely understand sort of the appeal of that fantasy, and hopefully that makes sense to everyone else. And thank you all for watching. That's really all I had to say on it. It's not like a complex thing, but it does, like, it's the sort of thing that I haven't really thought about before. So gathering that sort of that angle and that perspective on it was helpful to me, and hopefully it has been something interesting to you. Hopefully we can have some interesting conversations in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, everyone, take care, and goodbye.